Hello all, this is Raj Misa. So we are live here on Facebook in our secret group, and also we are live on YouTube. So defining stress. In this first video, lesson 1, let's go ahead and define stress. Uh, as I'm sure you know, if you want to make change to something, it's really important that we know exactly what it is and how to measure it. So one of the biggest problems we have with stress today is that although everyone knows what it is, in its essence, people experience it in very unique ways. So as crazy as it may sound, it's kind of like love. It can mean so many different things, but ultimately the experience is different for everyone. So it's really based in the eye of the beholder. Before we get too far along the path of trying to fix stress, we need to get crystal clear on what it is and how it impacts us. And which is why I'm going to share with you a very simple framework for understanding how stress affects the brain and the body, and how to know when you have too much of it for your own good. So because we know stress is not going anywhere and we actually don't want it to, as I'll explain later, stress can actually be different things for different people. It could be very good for us if we know how to use it. That's exactly what I'm going to teach you during our time together in this particular course. So let's get started right now by agreeing on a simple definition that we can work with for defining what stress is. Stress is simply the gap between demand and capacity, or maybe more specifically, it's what happens in that gap between demand and capacity. So think about it. When you don't have enough time, stress helps you to be hyper-focused to try to get more done in less time. When you don't have enough money, stress gives you a sense of urgency to focus your attention on making sure you're covering your costs. So if you don't have enough energy physically, stress triggers hormones to give you a surge, at least temporarily. So to get out of the bed in the morning and try to get things done. Which brings up the first clarification point that I want to make. The stress is not good or bad, but there are differences in how stress affects us based on the type of stress, the intensity, and how long it continues. So I want to encourage you not to think of this as a good stress or a bad stress, because even that can get really confusing. We all know people who have had bad stress. There were things that happened and end up with good results. So growing stronger because of the challenges that they went through, and other people who had wonderful things happen to them but end up with negative outcome. So because they weren't prepared or able to handle the changes that occurred. So it's just easier not to try categorize stress as being good or bad, but rather to look at the impact of stress as either being something that can stimulate growth and positive adaptation, or something that can trigger breakdown and burnout as a result of not being used effectively. So that's what we are going to talk about together in this course, and how stress impacts us collectively and how it impacts you personally. So what we can do to use it for good. And for now, just remember that stress is one of the most important things which we need to tackle. So it's what happens in the gap between demand and capacity. So see you in the next lesson, and hope it really adds value to it. Take care. Signing off, Raj Misa. Goodbye.